As we continue now, it says, they hated themselves for being Jews and resorted to things like painful cosmetic surgery, not only to blend in better with the Greeks, but also also a sign of defiance in their attempts to remove any trace of being Jewish or Jew from their bodies. And this is what happened today also. Many people are going into taking painful cosmetic surgeries to attempt to look like who? The one attempt, and listen to it, the only attempt, as you see the Jews do, or the Israelites do, or the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans do, is to look like who? Their slave master, the white man. Every attempt to do a cosmetic surgery or to do a skin cleanse is to get fair to look like the white man. Which is why we did a lesson the other day concerning what the figure, the Messiah, the white hair, blue eye, white skin or fair skin, blue eyes, brunette or brownish hair coming down the face. When that deity is portrayed from the Greek to Greco-Roman Empire, which we know as Serapis Christos, it was going to do what? Change the understanding of divinity. It's going to make it more easy, that these people that look with that similar complexion is the one that will be holding, as we read, the divinity in them, which is not the case, because these same people back then are the so-called Edomites that have been doing horrendous things against the Yahweh Shemoshi's people, the holy children of Israel. But they're so deceived. They're so Hellenized. And willingly too. They hated the fact that they had to go through these things after they did wrong. They wanted to live like the heathens. And many of them did. Let's continue. As we're seeing here. So if you ever thought that the Israelites would not become like Gentiles, this is a very vague, verbatim description of an Israelite literally appearing like a Gentile, face to face. Let's continue. These are saying this is a very important part, because when you know, so we had Daniel with the prophecies. First the breakdown of the statue, then the prophecies coming in according to the bronze or the brass or the belly and the thigh. That time going to be, which is the Greek time, where it's going to be one king ruling, which is going to be Alexander the Great. He's going to have a short season. We're split the kingdom into four, which we know the four generals, and then after the king of fierce countenance was supposed to come in, which is Antiochus, surname Epiphanes, right? The fourth. And from there, the harsh rulership began to take place, where what he says is going to be harsh against what? The holy people, because they will be in captivity, which we see in reading in the Maccabean scriptures, and matching the same exact Maccabean scriptures with historical accuracy. That already proves the point. Daniel's vision and the breakdown of the statue would have came to pass in that time, which we read, which also lines up with history. Let's continue, and it's going to continue to line up into the Greco-Roman Empire via the New Testament. So, right. It says, naturally, the victory of the Maccabees over the Greeks, which we will discuss next, was a great disappointment to them. It says, Jews true to their ways, or they say Judaism, but we know that is not the real. We know the Father's way is not based on religion and man-made religion. So were an increasingly shrinking island awash in a sea of Greek culture. It says they were victims of a cultural revolution that in a short time would have completely swamped them. So now let us go in and get some more information. because now we have to understand from the timing of, now we hitting the timing from Greek to, I believe is the revolt. I think it's called the hassle. Let me not break it. Let me not butcher it. Let me pause. Let me read it. So as you go back into the first three parts which we did before, which is we continue from the Babylonian captivity into the Persian rule, which would be from 586 to 539 BC to 539 to 332 BC, which Cyrus, of course, the Great, and then came Darius, of course, which was slain by Alexander Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great. So we have a Greek rule, Hellenistic period mentioned in history and shown in the Maccabees, of course, at 332 to 63 BC. Alexander the Great conquered the Persian Empire. After his death, Judea was ruled first at the Ptolemaic kingdom and then by the Seleucid Empire. The Seleucid ruled Antiochus Epiphanes, Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes. I'm trying to get this part here. Persecuted the Jews, leading to the Maccabean revolt. Well, let's continue. This is probably left off, showing what the rulership at the time, jumping to from where we went through in captivity, the Jews, Southern Kingdom, from I believe it's the I can't remember, but I did it. It wasn't the lesson. Let's continue. So it goes on to that's it. Hasmonean Jew independence, which was a short period as they during the revolt, right? Which is also in the scriptures, by the way, right? So this is what something that took place. It says about following the Macedonian revolt, the Jews gained a period of self-rule under the Hasmonean dynasty. This was not captivity; it was a period of Jewish independence, Roman rule, as we continue, which is 663 BC onwards to Pompey the Great captured Jerusalem in 63 BC, which is also shown in the history books. You can also get it in Babylon, Timbuktu, which you probably could grab after, but coming down to show where the rulership begins. So you pass the Greco-Roman period into the Roman rule, right? Since Judea became subject to the Romans, to the Roman Republic, later the Roman Empire. This was the political situation during the lives of Yahweh and the apostles. You see? So now we had the timeline. Continue, it says. So my question was, I believe I can see it here. I believe, yeah. Is that why it's called the Greco-Roman period? Because it was a transition to the Roman Empire. And it says yes, that's essentially correct. The term Greco-Roman period refers to the era when the Greek and Roman influence overlapped. It doesn't mean Greece and Rome ruled together as one empire, but rather than Roman political power inherited and continued much of Greek culture, because it was by the same people disguising themselves as the Macedonian, but really and truly were the Agagites, which were the Amalekites, which come from the descendants of who? Edom, Esau, Edom, which was prophesied to happen. The last rule would come from Esau, Edom, before they are destroyed and Jacob is back in his position and power. So the last rule has to start from Esau, Edom. So the Macedonian, known as Alexander, just like Haman, the Macedonian, which are what? Agagites, are actually Edomites. And we did a lesson where in time and time, when they took many of people's heritage, They try to hide themselves under these people to appear to be these exact people, which they are not. That's the kind of person and characters they have. Do you remember the scripture literally tells us that true? Watch me. Let me see if I get a precept. Psalms 69 by 68 and 11. 68 and 11. Boy, the course of after it's like the forget it, Salakia, forget. The precept that we for going back into the course of after the land of Jacob. Psalms. Bear with me. I believe I know what I'm talking about, so bear with me. Okay, let me just go to the next one, which is Psalms 58 and verses 3. The wicked are estranged from the womb. It says they go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. And who is the wicked according to the scriptures? Is when they go. Sorry, let me get our next precept before you continue. We better grab it quick before, because I'm still trying to get that precept. It was in my head and it's gone. I'm just so lucky for that. But I'm not gonna get him a book. Let me see if I get it. But I'm gonna go in the book and find it. But for the time being, like go Malachi chapter 1 and verses 4 to identify who the wicked is according to the scriptures. Just for those that are new, it says let me go from verses 1. The burden of the word of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai to Israel by who? Malachi, right? So I have loved you, saith Yahweh, yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith Yahweh? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build desolate places. It says, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and against the people whom Yahweh have indignation forever. So is Esau, who is Edom? Border of wickedness. In other words, border meaning the peak or the base of the wicked. So they are the wicked itself. And guess who was given the earth, which we are telling you here now? Job chapter 9 and verse 24, it says the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. And who is judges? Israel. If not, where and who is he? So we understand. And how did he cover the faces of the judges? Let's get a precept immediately right in the book of Maccabees before we continue. But I want to get a precept after, so you have to bear with me a little bit. Maccabees chapter 3 and verses 48. And it says, and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. So they paint what they would look like into the books. Now the images that was placed in the books was not used as a form of worshipping. It was used to identify a mark of history who the Israelites are and who the holy people would look like, or how they would portray themselves to be. That's all it's there for. Much like the Messiah, which is why he still gave the description of himself through John the Revelator. He revealed himself unto him, right? So before we go in and get all up on our high horses, this is why it is important to understand the difference. But let's continue. I'm looking for that precept. I need that precept. So if I can get within the next no pause. So I need to get no pause. Get Psalms 49. I say in 69 and 68. Psalms 49. And I go to 49 and verses 11. I was correct with 11, but it says, their inward thoughts is that their house shall continue forever. That is directly referring to Esau Edom. That is why he's doing all these marvelous things, as they call it, with relying on their own invention to kind of pave the way for their future, trying to tap into what we know as immortality in the wrong sense, but they can't get it. They had to use AI and robotics and mechanics and machinery to try to find a way of immortality, but they would not be able to get it. That's just where it is. Their end is good. Their judgment is their end. They are going to end. they have to end in order for Jacob to rule. But let's continue. And their dwelling place, right, and continue for, sorry, and, right. Their inward thoughts is that their house shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. That's what I wanted to say. So after they take the land, guess what they're going to do? Call it according to their own names. And this is what they have done in many places. Like example, the place we know as Africa today was given by a white person, which is Africanus. I forget his Scipio Africanus, or the cases. I think it's Leo Scipio Africanus. If I'm wrong, somebody can comment, correct me on the comment board. A very good example to that. So, stay tuned to the next one. Shalom.